Good morning, dear children. Now we will move to our fifth chapter, upthrust in fluids, Archimedes principle and flotation. Okay. So first we will be considering about upthrust in fluids. Now, what are fluids? That can flow, isn't it? Substances which can flow can be considered as fluids. So we are having liquids and gases under the heading fluids. Now, first we will consider about upthrust. When a body is partially or wholly immersed in a liquid, it experiences an upward force, and this can be called as upthrust or buoyant force. Okay, it's known as upthrust or buoyant force. So when an object is immersed in a liquid, it can be either partially or wholly immersed in a liquid, then that body experiences an upward force. Who is exerting this force? The fluid. So when it is immersed in a liquid, the liquid will exert a force in the upward direction, and that force can be called as upthrust or buoyant force. So is it clear? When a body is partially or wholly immersed in a liquid, it experiences an upward force, and this force can be called as upthrust or buoyant force. Now, I told you this force is exerted by that liquid, isn't it? So, the property of the liquid to exert buoyant force can be called as buoyancy. Okay. So, what is buoyancy? It is the property of the liquid to exert buoyant force. So, we have discussed about two different terms, buoyant force or upthrust and buoyancy. Buoyant force means it is the force exerted by the fluid in the upward direction, and buoyancy is the property of the fluid to exert this. Okay. Now we will consider two examples for this. First one, we are considering a beaker, and water is taken in the beaker. Okay. Now take a can, an empty can, and let it be closed with the lid. Okay. And this can is immersed on this beaker containing water. So when you are putting a can, then it will float on the float in the water, isn't it? Now we are applying force with the other hand in the downward direction. So what happens? This can will go down, isn't it? And when the can is moving down, we will feel a force which is exerted by this water in the upward direction. Anyway, we won't do this. I can give you another example. When you are taking bath, you are having your bucket and mug, isn't it? Now, just keep the mug in the inverted position and try to push it into the water, bucket containing water. If you are keeping it in the normal position also, but you have to be careful, water won't enter the mug. It should be an empty one. If water enters the mug, the weight of the mug will be more and the mug will go down. So you just invert the mug and then you try to push the mug downward. Okay, this you can try from your home. So when you are pushing the mug downward, you will feel a force in the upward direction. Actually, nobody is there to push the mug in the upward direction, but we'll feel the force acting in the upward direction. Okay, you can just check that. Then by pushing the mug, finally the mug will reach the bottom of the bucket, and when you release the hand, what happens? The mug will come up. So in order to push the mug downward, we were applying force on the mug, but nobody is there to apply force on the mug to come back, isn't it? But the mug will come up. So just try this. So what is the reason? Who is applying force in the upward direction? It is the liquid. Okay. So now I will say the same example given in the textbook. We have immersed a can in a beaker containing water and we are applying force in the downward direction. So when we are applying force, the can will go down, and each and every moment we will feel a force acting in the upward direction. That is, we will feel that somebody is pushing the can in the upward direction. Then when it reaches the bottom, you can take your hand. So what happens? This can will come up. Okay. So this is an example showing upthrust or buoyant force. The liquid exerts a force in the upward direction. Now another example given in the textbook is about a cork. Okay, so it also doesn't have much weight. So when you put a cork or a small plastic lid on a beaker containing water, it floats on water. So using your finger, you can try to push it down into the beaker. So we will feel the force which acts in the upward direction. Once the cork reaches the bottom, you can take the hand, then you can see that the cork will come to the top. So all these things shows the upthrust or buoyant force. Okay. So what is upthrust or buoyant force? The force exerted by a liquid in the upward direction when an object is partially or fully immersed on it. So is it clear? 2 examples. Okay. Now we will check what is the reason for this. Okay. So actually what happens here? So for this, instead of can, I am just considering a body. Okay, we are considering a body which is immersed in a beaker containing water. Now, do you know which are the forces acting on this body? Actually, there are 2 forces which acts on this body. The weight of the body will try to push it down, and at the same time, F suffix B. FB stands for upthrust or buoyant force. Okay. So upthrust will be acting in the upward direction, and that is the reason why a body stays there. Okay. When a body has to move or change its state, a force is needed. So here, when you are putting a body in a liquid, the weight of the body will try to move the body downward. At the same time, upward force or upthrust exerted by the liquid will try to move it in the upward direction. So when you are immersing a body in a liquid, 2 forces are acting on the body. Weight of the body in the upward direction and upthrust. FB stands for upthrust. Upthrust acts in the upward direction. Okay. Now, if weight of the body is greater than the upthrust, okay, if weight of the body is greater than the upthrust, then what happens? The body will sink. That is, it goes down. That is why I told you, when you are doing the experiment with bucket and mug, if the mug is filled with water, its weight is more. So density is more, and the object, the mug with water, will go down. It sinks. So what you have to remember, if the weight of the object is greater than the upthrust, then the body will sink. Now, the second one, if weight of the body is equal to upthrust. If the weight of the body is equal to upthrust, then the body will float, such that the entire portion of the body will be inside water. Okay, the entire portion of the body will be inside water. Now the third one, when weight of the body is less than upthrust. If the weight of the body is less than upthrust, then the body will float with some part of it under water and some part above the water. So it will float like this. We will be having water only till this point. Some part of the object will be above the surface of water. Okay. So is it clear? When a body is immersed in a liquid, it experiences 2 forces. The weight of the body will be acting in the downward direction. At the same time, upthrust will be acting in the upward direction. If the weight of the body is more, the body will sink. If the weight of the body is equal to the upthrust, the body will float with entire portion of the body under water. Okay, it will be floating, but the entire thing will be below the water surface. Now, if the weight of the body is less than upthrust, what happens? Some part of the body will be under water and some part above that. So, is it clear? Now, about the unit for upthrust. What will be the unit for upthrust? Upthrust is the force exerted by the liquid. So, what is the SI unit of force? Newton. Okay. So, upthrust, SI unit for upthrust is Newton. Is it clear? Okay, next comes the characteristic properties of upthrust. Okay, there are 3 characteristic properties of upthrust. First one is larger the volume of immersed part. Okay, larger the volume of the immersed part, larger the upthrust. So what do you mean by this? If more volume of an object is immersed in the liquid, upthrust experienced will be more. I told you about an example, that is a can immersed in a beaker containing water, isn't it? So at first, when you are not touching it, the can will be floating on the surface of water, and when you touch, you will feel the upthrust, but it will be less. But once the can is pushed into the liquid, that is when it reaches nearly mid of the liquid present in the beaker, then the force exerted will be more. Okay, so that also you can check. When more volume of a body is underwater, the upthrust exerted will be more. So in the top, when you are just putting a can in a beaker containing water, the upthrust will be there, but it is less. But when you are pushing it downward, so when it moves down, then what happens? The force up in the upward direction, or the upthrust goes on increasing, because when you are pushing it down, more volume of the object is immersed in the liquid. Now I can give another example related to air. Okay, already I told you fluids, both liquids and gases exerts upthrust. Now, if you are putting a bunch of feather, okay, bunch of feather you are taking, and a pebble. What do you mean by a pebble? Stone, isn't it? So if we are putting a bunch of feather and pebble of same mass, okay, both are having same mass, and if they are dropped down from a height, which one will reach the ground first? If you are considering vacuum, both the bodies will reach ground at the same time, because that will be free fall. Okay, all the objects will reach the ground at the same time. It won't depend on the mass when you are considering vacuum. Clear? That is known as free fall. Here we are not considering vacuum. I have a pebble and a bunch of feathers. Both are having same mass and both are dropped down from the same height at the same instant. Now, which one will come to the ground first? It will be pebble. Why? What is the reason? Here, which one occupies more volume? Pebble means both are having same mass, pebble as well as the bunch of feathers. But when you consider the volume of pebble, it is less compared to the volume of the feather, isn't it? The space occupied by feather is more than that of the pebble. So what happens? Upthrust will be more. So feather will take more time to reach the ground, because air is exerting upward force or upthrust. So is it clear about the example? Please study this property or the feature. Okay. Larger the volume of the immersed part of the body, greater will be the upthrust. Now, second one is greater the density of the liquid, then greater will be the upthrust. Greater the density, greater the upthrust. So from this portion also you have to write only the lecture notes. Okay. No need to write the question answers, just write the lecture notes and submit. So second characteristic feature is greater the density, greater is the upthrust. So I am considering an object which is immersed in mercury as well as water. Which one is having greater density? Is it water or mercury? I am taking two similar beakers. In one I have taken water and in the other one I have taken mercury. Okay. Now I am immersing a body. Both the level of water is same. Now I am going to immerse a body, say a similar body, okay, on both water as well as mercury. So here this is the body. So what difference can you see here? What is the difference? Same identical beakers, same level of water, two identical bodies are immersed, one in water and the other in mercury. Now what difference can you see here? In the first one you can see that more part of the object is under water and only a small portion of the object is above the water surface. But in the case of mercury, only a small portion of the object is under or below the water surface. So what is the reason here? Density of mercury is more than that of water. It is 13.6 in the case of mercury. In the case of water, it is just 1 gram per centimeter cube is the density of water, but the density of mercury is 13.6 gram per centimeter cube, which is so high than that of water. So when density increases, upthrust also increases. So what happens here? When you compare the weight as well as upthrust, the upthrust exerted is more. Since upthrust exerted is more by mercury, only a small portion of the body is under the water surface or below the water surface. In the case of water, upthrust exerted will be less because density of water is less. So more portion of the object will be there above the water surface. So is it clear? Okay. Now we will move to the next characteristic feature, that is third one. Okay. The upthrust or the buoyant force always acts at the center of buoyancy or center of gravity of the immersed part of the body. Did you understand something from this? Okay, it's very simple. When we say it in a sentence, it appears to be difficult, but it's a simple thing. Okay, here I have considered a beaker containing water and an object. Okay, we are considering an object which is immersed on it. So the body, this body floats here. What is center of gravity? Center of gravity is the center or a point on the body where entire mass of the body is concentrated, isn't it? That is known as center of gravity. So when you are considering a body, the weight, two forces are acting on the body, weight in the downward direction and upthrust in the upward direction, isn't it? Now when you are considering a floating body, here let me draw this. Okay, upthrust in the upward direction and weight of the body is acting in the downward direction. Weight of the body always acts along the center of gravity. Center of gravity is the point where entire weight of a body is concentrated. So here we will be having G, that is center of gravity of the body, and weight will be acting along the center of gravity. Now upthrust acts along the center of buoyancy. Okay, upthrust acts along the center of buoyancy. Here I have marked the center of gravity at the center of this rectangular body. This is a rectangular body and at the center of the rectangular body I have marked the center of gravity and weight will be acting along the center of gravity. Now, this upthrust acts along the center of buoyancy, and do you know where the center of buoyancy lies? Center of buoyancy lies at the center of gravity of the immersed part of the body. So here we will consider only the immersed part of the body. So this much is the immersed part of the body. Immersed means what? What is under water. So this much is the immersed part of the body, and what will be the center of gravity of this part? Here, almost here the center of gravity of the immersed part. When you consider only this much, here we will be having the center of gravity, and here we will be having the center of buoyancy. Okay, so upthrust or buoyant force acts along the center of buoyancy, that is center of gravity of the immersed part of the body. In this case, a part of the body is above the water surface. Suppose the entire body, the body floats. Consider a body which floats with the entire part of the body underwater. So where is the center of gravity of this body? Center of gravity will be here, and weight will be acting along the center of gravity. And where will be the center of buoyancy? I told you center of buoyancy means it is the center of gravity of the immersed part of the body. So in this case the entire body is immersed. So here itself we will be having center of gravity and center of buoyancy. Both will coincide. Okay. So once again, buoyant force acts along the center of buoyancy. If a body is completely immersed in a liquid, center of gravity and center of buoyancy coincides. That is, we will be having just a single point. But in the case of a body floating with some part of the body outside the liquid, then center of buoyancy will be the center of gravity of the immersed part of the body. So only this much part of the body is underwater. What is its center of gravity? What is the exact center of that? There we will be having the center of buoyancy. So is it clear? We have discussed three characteristic features of upthrust or buoyant force. So study those 3 points thoroughly and you just understand the explanations. These 3 points are very important. So which are they? First one, larger the volume of the immersed part, larger will be the upthrust. Then greater the density of the liquid, greater is the upthrust. Upthrust always acts along the center of buoyancy, that is the center of gravity of the immersed part of the body. Okay. Now, next one is the reason for upthrust. We have to check what is the reason. We have discussed about upthrust. Now we will check what is the reason for upthrust. So for that, again I am considering a beaker and water is taken in this, and I am considering a body which is immersed on it. Okay, a body immersed in a beaker containing liquid. Now already we learned that liquid exerts pressure in all directions. Do you remember? Liquid exerts pressure in all directions. So from here we will be having pressure. Let me name it as P1. In the upward direction P3, and here it is P4. Okay, so liquid exerts pressure in all the directions. I just considered all the 4 directions here. Now P3 and P4, when you are considering, both are acting in the opposite direction. It will be equal and opposite. So the pressure exerted in from the sides gets cancelled. They are equal and opposite. Okay. But when we consider the pressure acting in the downward direction and the upward direction, it won't be same. The reason is we already learned that pressure increases with the depth. Do you remember? Pressure increases with the depth. When you are going deep, pressure increases. So since pressure increases with the depth, which one will be greater? Is it P1 or P2? P2 will be greater than P1. Okay. So we'll be getting a value for P2 minus P1. Let me take it as P. So that is the pressure. More pressure is acting in the upward direction. Now what is the equation to calculate pressure? Pressure is equal to force by area. So force is equal to pressure into area. And this excess pressure causes this upthrust or the force. What is this F? This is the force acting in the upward direction. So this is the upthrust. Did you understand the reason for upthrust? Once again, when an object is immersed in a liquid, pressure acts in all the directions. We learned that liquid exerts pressure in all directions. So from the sides, from the top and from the down. Now when you consider the pressure from the sides, they are equal in magnitude and opposite in direction. So it gets cancelled. Now we have the pressure acting in the downward direction as well as in the upward direction. We already learned that pressure increases with depth. So P2 is greater than P1 and we will be getting more value for P2. And when you take the difference P2 minus P1, you are getting it as P. And we know that pressure is force acting per unit area, and from there what is force? Force is pressure into area, and this force is our upthrust. So is it clear? Okay then, thank you children.